So the question is, why do you use a Samsung, Dad?
I always use Samsung. I like Samsung. Plus, I have a kind of a strong. But the strange thing was, the largest bill was 10,000 won.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow!
의미 없어요. 특별히는 두 개 다 작은 거 주세요. Today we came to this lovely cafe here in Mangwon-dong, and we have some nice drinks here. So we have the owner said that they were very famous for their blackberry and their citrus tea. So we have the citrus and blackberry, and then they also have what they call 술빵, which is like alcohol bread. So this is made with makgeolli, which is a rice wine. But I asked her and I said, are we gonna get drunk if we eat this? And she said no. And then some, what are they called? Financiers here, some pastries.
Wow, they're beautiful. I mean, each one is so beautiful the way it's decorated.
Yeah,
so
it's really nice. Lots of nice places with nice vibe like this.
And yours is a tea, is it?
Ours is tea, just cold.
Yeah, did you say we should stir this?
Yeah, we should stir. But
Okay, cheers.
Cheers anyway.
And in Korean you say
You can say jan.
jang?
Jan. It's supposed to imitate the sound of glass. Jan. There you go.
Today I want that iced, but it's very good.
Yes, what you got? It's like a fig on the end of it. Whatever you're going for, it's pink. Oh, nice.
I don't know what the flavor is. Oh, it's like a fig, yeah. Fig.
That's so good.
That one's pink, and this one looks like it's green.
I bet you it's green tea.
Green tea.
So do you like the Korean cafe lifestyle?
Looks wonderful.
I think I'd be here all the time.
This is a very nice place, but you could find 100 places that are the same as this in Seoul or even in Hongdae, you know?
Yeah.
This is like basically exactly how all young people like to spend their days off.
Do you know, the other thing that I notice a little different than Canada, you know, if we go for lunch in Canada, you know, we have a big meal and then maybe at the end of the meal we have a tea or a coffee at the same restaurant.
Yeah.
What I noticed when I was working in Korea, I don't know if it's the same, but what happened was we would go for one place, have a lunch, and then we leave, and then we go to a cafe.
So it was like that even when you were working in Korea too?
Yeah.
Because it's totally like that now. Like, you never find places, the restaurants that serve coffee.
Yeah.
But it's always like you finish the lunch or dinner and then you go to a cafe.
Then you go to a cafe afterwards.
So it used to be like that too?
It was like that, yeah, years ago. Not as fancy. The cafes are not as fancy.
Were there any places like this?
Not that I remember.
Oh, this really tastes like alcohol actually. You know makgeolli, right? The rice wine?
I didn't know that.
It really tastes like
it does
this.
have the taste.
It tastes like it a lot actually.
It does have the taste.
I'm pretty surprised. It's kind of crazy because like, I guess when you were coming to Korea in like the 90s, it wasn't. You alright?
Something like that.
Korea wasn't like a poor country, right? Like back in like Korean War days. But in the 90s, it was not nearly as developed as now, right?
That's very true. You know.
But now, you know, actually, last year or the year before, not on a per capita basis, but on like a gross basis, I believe that Korean GDP surpassed the Canadian GDP.
That wouldn't surprise
Not
me.
surprised me.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. And you know, I'll tell you one thing that I remember when I first came here as well. Korea was cash everywhere.
Oh, really?
No credit cards. So you go to a restaurant, they don't take credit cards. But the strange thing was, the largest bill was 10,000 won. The 50,000 won bill didn't exist. In the 90s, I remember no 50,000. So sometimes you had a huge stack of 10,000 won bills.
So guys would just walk around with super thick wallets.
Yeah, or they had, sometimes they had like checks, but nobody took credit cards in those days. So it was cash. Everybody paid cash for everything. It was very strange. And then I think what happened was at some point, maybe the government started to encourage people to use credit cards more. And I think there was a big push and people started to get credit cards.
I think the IMF crisis probably changed a lot
Yeah.
regarding that, right? I'm sure.
I was just asking Dad last night. I was trying to remember when that was. Was it sort of the late 90s at some point?
It was 97.
97, that's right. I remember being here at the time and
You were in Korea for IMF?
Yes, and the Canadian dollar suddenly was very strong.
So you were rich.
So I was shopping, buying mom presents, and yeah, it was a really strange time. But I wish I bought more Korean won at the time. But
You should have bought land. You should have bought a building.
I should have bought land.
You should have bought that building. You guys know Samsung Pay? It's like Apple Pay.
Oh yeah,
Do you have Samsung Pay in Canada?
I think it's around, but it's not very popular. Apple Pay is more popular, but
And
I've
we're
heard
old
of
school.
it.
We don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Apple Pay only just came to Korea like 3 months ago or something.
You're kidding.
Really?
Samsung Pay's been here for years, I think. But Apple Pay, yeah, just recently came in. But it's weird, like a lot of things don't work in Korea, strangely. Products, for example, like remember the Apple AirTags you gave me for Christmas? They like don't work here because there's these laws about
Oh yeah, invading people's privacy.
it's invading. It's also that, but it's like a national security issue. It's like it's the same reason that Google Maps doesn't have like high definition maps of South Korea. If they want to have, if any private company wants to have high definition map or location data, it has to be stored on domestic servers.
Oh right.
Obviously, Apple is all in California, right? And
Yeah.
Apple's not going to build a server room in Korea just to appease the Korean government. So a lot of like these kind of services don't work in Korea.
I did not know that.
So Apple Pay for the longest time didn't work. So the question is, why do you use a Samsung, Dad?
I always use Samsung. I like Samsung phones. Plus, I have a kind of a strong connection to South Korea, so I feel
I have a strong connection to Korea. I use an iPhone. Most Koreans use iPhones.
Samsung's way better. I think Samsung's way better.
I actually just recently switched last year, and I gotta be honest, I really like certain features of the Samsung better than the iPhone. Like iPhone's good for some things, but Samsung also.
Oh, I didn't know you use a Galaxy Watch.
Oh, this is a Galaxy Watch. I bought this when I had my Samsung phone. I actually like the face of this one. I went for it because I liked how it looked a little bit more like a real watch versus like those sort of boxy fitness watches.
I feel like we're in a Samsung ad right now. So what was it like when Dad used to travel to Korea 4 or 5 times a year?
Well, you know, I have to say when you were a small baby and I didn't have any help. So it was just me and you. And honestly, it was very trying because I knew he had to go for work and I knew it was an important part of the business for him. But on the other hand, those were long days. But awesome, still hanging out with you, my son. But I gotta say, when you had those moments where you were crying or whatever, I didn't have anybody to hand to.
I never cried. Come on.
Occasionally.
I never cried.
So, anyways.
And I'd come back from Korea after 2 weeks and look at him, and he'd go, he'd look at me, who are you? Do I know you? Totally forgot who I was.
I
That's
know.
when he was a little baby.
Yeah, really. But anyways, it was necessary, and he always came back with great stories, and
Presents.
and you know, and he did take me a couple times to Korea as well along the way. So I missed my very first Mother's Day though, because I had to go to Korea with him for something for work, and I unfortunately I had to leave you with your grandparents because I was very disappointed. My first Mother's Day, I was in Korea and I was not with my son. So
How when you first came to Korea, like what were your expectations like of this country, and then how were they different?
my first trip was in 1994, and by then your dad had come back and forth a few times and had told me things, but that was my very first time ever being in an Asian country. You know, it's just so different, and back then, even because there was so little English, it was such a stark culture shock. It was very interesting to me, but it was still shocking to take it all in and know that you were completely at the mercy of folks. You know, people. Dad was working
translators.
basically taking you and showing you everything because it was.
It's like I'm doing now.
But there's a lot more signage around, and so many more people speak English these days. So back then it was harder. But I just remember being taken to temple. Like I remember one temple that we visited, and it was just amazing. To see the ancient. Temples that I might have seen in movies or read about, but to actually walk through and see it was.
And that trip too, interesting. My business partner was from Hapcheon.
Hapcheon
area.
Hapcheon-gun.
And in the countryside, and we went to her parents' house where she grew up, and very traditional style house with the kind of the kitchen outside and another kind of a barn with like a cow in it, and then they
making the kimchi in the
making
pots.
the kimchi pots, and they would cook, and the smoke would go underneath the floor of the house to like, this is a kind of a traditional. So that was really a fascinating experience for us to go into the countryside and to see really old style traditional Korean house. And her father was still living there at the time. That was really amazing.
Yeah. You know, we were in Seoul and in Busan on that trip, and you know, obviously, you know, big cities, but to go to little spots like that was really exciting.
Those old ladies in this little small, not even a village, like a little hamlet where my partner's father was living, and the neighbors were these two very old ladies, and they came with a big kettle, metal one, with a kind of homemade rice wine in it, and they shared that with us. And they kept talking to me in Korean. They thought I was Korean. And I was like, maybe they couldn't see very well or something. But at one point, one of them said to the other one, "It's almost like he's not a Korean." But I still remember that experience. It was one of the early times and the first time with your mom. We had a good time together.
But I just want to say it's really nice to see you guys after almost 1 year.
I know.
Wow, it's really good to be here with you. Words can't describe how nice this is.
We miss you so much, Ev. It's really nice to be with you. It's really nice to be with you.
And thanks for arranging the great weather.
Yeah, that was a lot of work, but I pulled some strings.
All blue skies today.
Evan, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting us and making time in your schedule for us like this. It means a lot to us that we're able to spend this time together.
Yeah, it means a lot that you came all the way here. So
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, it's Mom and I are very proud of you to see you having grown up from a little boy to being the young man that you are, and all the accomplishments you've done and the things you've done here in Korea. Mom and I are very proud of you. We miss you a lot, but there's no question that what you've done here and the things you've done, the things you're going to do, make us very proud as parents. And so it's so nice for us to be able to be here with you and see your success. So thanks for having us.
thank you. Let's go eat. Let's go.
I'm glad I didn't have any more than we did. And you warned us, so
This is good.
I just wanted to try a taster of things.